Psychology is the science of the human mind, and for many centuries, the soul has been a concept often linked to the essence of who we are. In many ways, the two seem inseparable. But what if there's more to the human experience than can be explained by behavior or neural responses? What if the soul, as an intangible yet central part of our being, plays a role in shaping our emotions, our thoughts, and our actions in ways that psychology has only just begun to uncover? As we dive deeper into understanding the human mind, we must recognize that the exploration of psychology is much more than an exploration of simple processes. It's an attempt to understand the complexity of our existence, our thoughts, our experiences, and the internal forces that drive us to do the things we do. It's about getting to the heart of human nature, beyond what we can simply measure or observe. This is where the concept of the soul comes into play, as an element that transcends the mind and yet is deeply intertwined with it. The word soul has many different interpretations across various disciplines: religion, philosophy, psychology, and even neuroscience. Yet, the soul has often been described as the very essence of who we are. Some say it is immortal, eternal, and divine. Others describe it as the core of our consciousness, those deeply rooted feelings, thoughts, and experiences that make us who we are. It's not a concept easily defined, and for that reason, it has remained at the heart of countless debates and discussions long before psychology even became a formal science. As we embark on this exploration, we must also recognize that psychology and the soul are more than just intellectual concepts. They are a reflection of our inner world. What does it mean for us to have a soul? What does it mean for us to understand our psychology? And how can these two fields help us better navigate our inner lives? The relationship between psychology and the soul begins long before modern science existed. The origins of psychology as we know it today trace back to the ancient philosophers who were not only concerned with human behavior, but with the very nature of the soul itself. Figures like Plato and Aristotle helped lay the foundation for what would eventually evolve into the study of psychology. Plato, for example, viewed the soul as a separate, immortal entity, one that existed beyond the physical world. His concept of the soul was intertwined with his belief in the existence of a realm of forms, a place where perfect, unchanging ideals existed. For Plato, understanding human nature and behavior meant understanding the soul's true nature. According to him, the soul was divided into three parts: reason, spirit, and appetite, each of which governed different aspects of human behavior. This view tied human nature to something much deeper than physical sensations or rational thought. It was connected to something eternal, something divine. On the other hand, Aristotle, Plato's student, took a different view of the soul. For Aristotle, the soul was not a separate entity from the body, but rather it was the form of the body, the essential principle that gave life to the organism. In his work, De Anima, on the soul, Aristotle argued that the soul's function was to animate the body and to guide it in fulfilling its natural purposes. For Aristotle, the soul was an essential part of the physical being, but it could not be understood in the same abstract, transcendent way that Plato imagined. Instead, it was intimately tied to human experience, action, and thought. Even as science advanced and moved away from these more metaphysical views, the exploration of the soul's relationship to the body and mind continued to evolve. During the Enlightenment and the scientific revolution, thinkers like René Descartes laid the groundwork for the more modern understanding of psychology by suggesting that the mind and body were separate but connected entities. This dualism opened the door for psychology to emerge as its own field, separate from philosophy or religious thought. Descartes' theory of mind-body dualism, suggesting that the mind, or soul, was separate from the body, was revolutionary in its time. However, as science advanced, the need to observe, measure, and experiment pushed psychology further into the realm of the physical and the measurable. The result? A more scientific, objective approach to understanding human behavior, rooted in the workings of the brain and the nervous system. But even as psychology distanced itself from the metaphysical view of the soul, it continued to grapple with questions about the mind and consciousness. Sigmund Freud's work in the early 20th century was an attempt to understand the unconscious aspects of the mind, those parts of us that are hidden from conscious awareness, but still profoundly influence our thoughts and behaviors. Freud's exploration of repressed desires, memories, and the unconscious mind was a nod to the ancient ideas about the deeper aspects of the self, those parts of our identity that are not easily understood or easily observed. Freud's psychoanalysis, which centered around the exploration of repressed memories and unconscious desires, suggested that there was a hidden world within us, a world that, though intangible, could still have profound effects on our behavior and emotions. This aligns with the concept of the soul as something deeper than the surface of our consciousness, something that might lie beneath our awareness, yet still shape our experiences in ways that are difficult to measure. Today, modern psychology continues to explore the depths of human experience through the study of consciousness, emotion, and behavior. However, the soul as a concept has evolved. While some psychological theories still implicitly touch on the idea of the soul, modern approaches tend to focus on the mind, personality, and self. The soul is no longer viewed in purely metaphysical terms, but rather as an integral part of our emotional, psychological, and social experiences. The mind-body connection is one of the most fascinating aspects of modern psychology, and it offers a framework for understanding how our thoughts and emotions influence not just our mental state, but also our physical health. Through this lens, the soul can be viewed as an essential part of the mind-body connection, the place where our thoughts, emotions, and experiences converge and impact both our physical and psychological health. Psychosomatic medicine, which explores the ways in which psychological factors can influence physical health, is a perfect example of how the mind and body are deeply interconnected. Stress, for instance, is one of the most common factors affecting both mental and physical health. Chronic stress can contribute to a range of health issues, including heart disease, digestive problems, and immune system dysfunction. In this way, the soul, understood as the mental, emotional, and spiritual core of the individual, can have a profound effect on physical well-being. But psychology doesn't stop at just understanding the mind and body. It also delves into the study of personality, which has often been seen as a reflection of the soul. Personality is a unique combination of traits, behaviors, and emotional responses that shape how we interact with the world. Theories of personality, such as those developed by Freud, Carl Jung, and others, offer insight into how our inner world, the soul, so to speak, shapes our outward behavior. Jung, for example, proposed the idea of the collective unconscious, suggesting that certain universal patterns and archetypes exist within all human beings. These archetypes, which are rooted in the collective experiences of humanity, influence how we view the world and shape our behaviors. In Jungian terms, these deep-rooted patterns can be understood as part of the soul, guiding our psychological development and influencing our actions on a deep level. From Freud's unconscious mind to Jung's collective unconscious, these ideas suggest that our personalities are shaped by forces that are not immediately visible or consciously understood. They are rooted in the very essence of who we are, the soul, guiding us as we navigate the complexities of human life. In the broader context of human development, psychology offers us a framework for understanding how the soul, mind, and body interact over the course of our lives. From childhood to adulthood, our psychological experiences shape our identities and our relationships. How we process emotions, how we cope with stress, and how we navigate our relationships with others. All of these aspects are deeply influenced by the soul. As we continue to study psychology and the soul, we realize that these two concepts, often seen as distinct, are deeply intertwined. The soul is not just an abstract idea or a spiritual concept. It's something that lives within us, shaping the way we think, feel, and act. Understanding the soul through the lens of psychology is not just about defining it. It's about exploring the depths of human nature and the complexity of the human experience. This journey is ongoing, and as we learn more about the brain, the mind, and the body, we also uncover new insights into what it means to be human. In the process, we come closer to understanding the profound connection between psychology and the soul, a connection that continues to shape our understanding of who we are, what drives us, and what it means to truly live.